Hello and welcome everyone to another Procreate brush video. I've got another quick, simple version today to show you. This is a texture brush using the grain category, and it is best used when wanting to make a repeating background for your art. Like I said, this is another simple one, but you can make it more complicated with the patterns that you draw. I just used a very simple concept to show you. So let's get to it. All right, so I opened a square canvas again, just like I did the last couple times we've been making brushes. There's a square option if you go to the gallery and then you go to new canvas, and you hit the plus sign, there's an option for square that Procreate already has on there. If for some reason it got deleted on yours, you can make your own square. Just make sure it's the same width and the height for the square, and then you'll be fine, whatever size you want. So for this brush, we're gonna do a texture brush. So it's basically gonna be the background texture that you want. You can use it for other reasons as well, but this is the way I'm gonna teach it for this one. So I'm gonna grab my white color here, and I'm just gonna do something simple for this one. I'm actually going to first turn on my guide because I want it to be in the center. Canvas, drawing guide, edit. So, well, first of all, we need to turn this up on a light color because the dark background. Maybe turn up the opacity a little bit. Now, you can either, depending on what you want to do for your texture, you can bring this grid size all the way up so you just got the crosshairs here of the vertical and horizontal. Or you can use symmetry too if you want to start doing something like a symmetrical thing. I'm actually just going to be making a circle. So we're going to do this. That should be good for this particular thing. So done. I'm going to pinch and move this over a little bit. Now I'm going to use the quick shape feature because I'll be able to get like a perfect circle. And we're just going to make a circle and then let it snap into place. You see it says ellipse, so we're going to turn that to circle. Then we're going to take all these crosshairs and get the circle on the crosshairs and all the nodes. So this needs to move over this way a little bit. Yeah, that looks good. So I'm going to fill it in. Just to make it interesting, I'm going to actually, where it's not just a circle, I'm going to do something a little different. I'm going to take the black again. I'm going to make another, so I'm going to need to change the guide so I can see. Change the color to something I can see on both of them. And I'm going to make a black circle in the middle of here. And then I need to make a new layer. Change this to a circle again, get them to show up here. And then color drop the black in. All right, so I'm gonna use this as my shape, my texture shape. Now I need to, again, copy canvas, copy all. Now, again, I did the 3-finger drag down and the copy and paste menu showed up. You can also go into here and copy, if you go to add, copy canvas. But anyway, that is in the clipboard right now. So then we're gonna go back. Now I made another category over here for textures, add, and go down to grain, and we're going to do import paste here. So that's our shape. And hit done. Now you see that when you're like, this is showing up in the background when you put your pencil on it. But you want to change it, if you're gonna use it for that, you wanna change it to texturized, because then, let me clear this out. When you pick up, well, this is kind of big right now, but when you pick up your pencil, it's gonna be exactly where it's supposed to be. It's not gonna do where it'll start a new one somewhere else. If you saw, like back here, you can see how it kind of changed when you pick up the pen. Like it's not where it's supposed to be. So putting on texturized is how you fix that. So we're gonna move the scale down to wherever you want it. I'll do 6 for mine. And that's really all you need to do. I mean, you can play around with all these things, and again, I went over this, everything in here, in this green, in the Brush Studio. I went over that in my part 1 Brush Studio video, so you want to go through that. But that is how you do that. So let's turn these layers off, turn the guide off, and then make a new layer just to show you how this works. So obviously whatever color you use is the white part of that circle, and that gets repeated over and over. And again, if you, well, I did the whole thing, not over here, but if you pick up your pencil, it's not going to affect where those circles land on the canvas, because that's already like predetermined. You're just revealing it basically. And then, you know, you can change the color if you want. So that's going to be, the circles are all going to be purple. I didn't actually hit that. And then you can do other things to it as well, just like with the other types of brushes. And you can use, again, whatever shape you want. Like there's, sky's the limit. You can make any kind of pattern in the background that you want. It's just going to repeat that square over and over again. So let's, well, first of all, let's title the brush, because I forgot to do that. What do we want to call these? Rings? There we go. So then I want to duplicate this brush, open it up, change the name. Let's, because you can do all those other kind of things that we have been doing to the other brushes, like with color dynamics and stuff like that. So let's say rainbow rings. And then move up to color dynamics, and you can change the stamp jitter, you know, all the way up. Pick a different color, clear the drawing pad, and now you're getting multicolor rings. Just to show you, if you change the stroke color jitter, that's going to change everything every time you open up. Every time you lift your pencil and bring it down again, it's going to change it. So you could make kind of a rainbow this way if you wanted to. But it's going to be every time you pick up your pencil. This is probably more rainbow-like. I didn't mean to move that. Versus changing the stamp color, where it's kind of, you know, it's got all the colors in it, in each of the rings. Again, whatever way you want to do it. Oops. But I would say that rainbow would be more like this one, where you can make a kind of a rainbow this way. So again, whichever way you want to do it. And you can of course change, whatever you want on here, not just the hue. But all of that I talk about in the second Brush Studio video. Again, if you haven't watched those Brush Studio videos, part 1, part 2, and part 3, I go through all of these things and all of the things you can change and what they do. So it gives you an idea of what you can make. So, and this is further ideas, like this is a texture brush. You can make stamp brushes, which I've made on here. You can make dotted brushes and dashed brushes and scatter brushes, all the kinds of things that I've made already, and I have a few more that I'm going to be showing you. But that video will go over all of that. Those 3 videos, actually. And then you can change where, let's not duplicate this one, let's duplicate this one. Go into Apple Pencil, you can change things like, you have the opacity, which we should have probably changed. I always forget to change that because it's automatically on max. So when you do lighter, it comes up a little lighter. So you can change that to where it's... You can change the size, but that has to do with the amount of the stroke. It's not the rings itself, it's the stroke that you're taking, if you know what I mean. So it's very thin there. I'm putting pressure on here so it's bigger. That's what that changes. Properties, we can change the maximum size. But again, that's the stroke you're taking, not the circles in it. All right, just to show you a few more things you can change. Duplicate the original one. Just gonna go in here, go to green, because this is where you're gonna change most of the stuff. Scale is gonna change the size of those rings in the background. So depending on how big or small you want them. Depth is going to change. So I'll show you the difference if you bring this down. So basically what it's doing is it's adding color to both the background of those circles and the circles. So before it was just the circles were turning purple, and now the background's like a lighter purple and the rings are the darker purple. And this just is how opaque that background is, because that bringing it all the way down, you're not going to see the circles at all, and then bringing it up, it's just the circles. Blend mode, we went through that in the part 1 video again. And I have a video about blend modes altogether, but I'm not going to talk about that much here. So brightness, it's going to change the brightness of that stroke, but it kind of puts like a darker tint over the whole thing. If you bring it down, and it brings like a lighter tint over, you bring it up, and then imagine contrast does something kind of similar. These aren't really changing on this one because there isn't a whole lot of it's just the circle. It doesn't have a lot of complexity to it, so this doesn't really matter in this one. But I did go over the differences in all these again in that part 1 where I go through the grain. And then 3D grain behaviors if you're going to use this for 3D materials, which I don't use on the iPad, so, or on Procreate, or on the iPad. So I don't really talk about that. But that is how you can make a texture brush. And again, you can use any kind of pattern that you want, any shape. Sky's the limit there. But that is how you make like a background brush, where you can kind of paint a background and then do something on top. Let's say you wanted, for some reason, you wanted these purple circles in the background, and then did another layer. Let's do black, and we want to write something. Very thick. Let's turn it up a little bit. I don't know, this is kind of groovy, isn't it? So groovy. I'm doing this really quick and I'm not sitting correctly to be writing these. But anyway, so if you wanted that as a background, then you can do something on top of it, is basically what I'm trying to show you. But that is it. So again, this is making an easy sort of repeated background. There's, again, sky's the limit. I might have more videos about different kind of textures you can make later down the road. But right now, just to show you the concept, this is what I'm doing. So that's it for now. See you in the next video. All right, that's going to do it for this video. I do have some more coming out very soon, and they are going to start getting more complicated, like I've said. And then after I get a few more of these brush videos out, I'm going to start teaching you how to do animations, and that's going to get a little more complicated too. And then I have my miscellaneous category video that's coming out as well, that has all the extra stuff that I haven't really talked about or I haven't touched on enough. So I'm going to talk about all those things. And then after that, we're going to start doing some projects together. So get ready for all that. See you soon.